welcome to another episode of the Buckeye Zone. I'm your host, the Schrock Star Sean Schrock, and with me, as always, is EJ Underwood, the national champion. And tonight we have a very special guest. Our boy Knoxville Nate couldn't be here tonight, so we had to bring in a big hitter tonight, and we brought in a legend. The Podfather Eric Boggs is here to chop it up with us tonight. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. How about yourself, man?
Doing good, Eric?
Doing great. Looking forward to recording with you guys, man. It's my first time on this show, so I'm excited.
Awesome. And today we've had some big news. President Ted Carter has resigned. Man, oh man. Supposedly the rumors are inappropriate relationship, but Eric, were you able to find more? Because I know I talked to you earlier in the day, and it just kind of came out. I didn't really get a chance to find anything else out. Were you able to, turn up anything?
Yeah. So in the last couple hours, it has now been reported that Ohio State will be doing an internal investigation on the matter. The concern is that this individual in which Ted Carter had this inappropriate relationship with may have some compromising information about the university and or individuals associated with the university. And so the university is going to be doing its due diligence to make sure any of that information that she may have obtained, that the parties involved will be notified promptly in accordance to law, so that they know their information might be out there to somebody who might not have the best intentions in that information. So this has got a little bit of some legs to this thing, man. It feels awkward. You hear inappropriate relationship and you just think something of the sexual nature. And it
Mhm.
sounds like this might actually have more to it than that. Hopefully that's all it was, and we can move on. But unfortunately, this thing might linger depending on what the internal investigation finds.
EJ, what's your take on this?
I'm very sad to hear anything negative that comes from Ohio State's way. So, um, when you told me about it, when we spoke on the phone, a lot of stuff went through my mind. Um, I think the best thing he did was resign. And I'm glad to see somebody in a position of power like take accountability about that instead of like try to linger on and stay and then get fired and make it a whole big messy situation. So I'm glad that he was out in front of it. But nah, man, anytime you're in a position of power, you have to understand what that entails, right? So you putting yourself in a compromising situation is not a good look at all. And I just hope that it's nothing like really, really too crazy. Because, for him to resign, it had to be really bad. So, hopefully Ohio State does their, saying their internal investigation so we can see what other stuff happened.
I mean, unlike some other institutions, I mean, he came out, he said, "Hey, I made a mistake." He owned it. He resigned. He said, "Here's what happened." He told the board what happened. "Hey, I'm going to resign. I made a mistake. It's not good for me to be here." So he left. I mean, hopefully, like we said, it's nothing too crazy. But what really made me laugh is when I talked to both of you guys on the phone at different times, you both came up with the same guy you wanted to take over. So, I mean, there's going to be, probably a big, you know, probably they'll probably have a list of candidates that they want to, interview and stuff. But the same guy, I agree with both of you guys. The guy that you both want to take over is the perfect guy. And Eric, I laughed when you told me. Then I called EJ, and EJ, he goes, "I got the perfect guy." I said, "I bet Eric's it's the same guy Eric wanted." And we started laughing. Of course, it's Coach Tress. I mean, is there anybody better, guys? I mean, honestly.
No, if you think about it, it's almost like a movie, and you know what I mean. In a way, you coach at two great universities, Youngtown State, and you put them on the map, and then you come in and you change the culture forever in a pivotal time for Ohio State, and you win a national championship. And some of the guys that came in with Coach Trash, man, oh my goodness, some great like Super Bowl MVP, a Heisman Trophy winner. So someone like Coach Trash will lead Ohio State in the best direction they could ever go in. He's familiar with the university, and what you have with Coach Tress is somebody who will hold people accountable. We do not have to worry about any negative scandals coming from Coach Tress himself. You know what I'm saying? Because he carries himself with so much class, and he's just a great man, and I would love for him to come back to be president while we win a couple more championships. Like, man, you can't write a better story than that.
Eric, what's your opinion on it?
I think the world is better with more sweater vests. That's what that's I I think the world is just a better place if we all wear sweater vests. No, you don't get more qualified, in my opinion, than a former head coach, former president of a university, and current lieutenant governor of the state of Ohio. You you don't get much better than that. I know there's people who are pushing back saying that Coach Tress doesn't have a doctorate associated to his name. He's not Dr. Jim Tressel. So he doesn't have 2 more years of education. That's all that means. That's all that means. So, and you can get a doctorate given to you by a university, an honorary doctorate, right? So, uh, shoot, Ohio State, give him the honorary doctor if that's what it means to make him the president. Okay, whatever. At this point, I think the bat signal needs to go out. Ohio State needs to turn the bat signal on. It's a giant sweater vest up in the sky in Columbus, Ohio. Bring him home, put him in the president's suite, and let him calm things down for a little bit of time while they do an extensive search. He's not going to want the presidency for 10 years. He would come in and say, "Yeah, I'll fill the gap for you guys until you guys find somebody who you can trust." Because these searches, what's going to happen more than likely if they don't bring Coach Tress in, they're going to give it to whoever Ted Carter's assistant was. That'll be the interim while they do an extensive search. More than likely, that is what's going to happen over there at the Ohio State University. But I think right now that they should turn the sweater vest on, man. Bring him home. I think his term runs out as lieutenant governor in November, if I'm not mistaken. I'll
Mm.
look that up while you guys talk.
Well, I tell you what, I have a friend, his daughter, she's a great basketball player, and she got a full ride to Youngstown State, and she's going. And he told me she was being recruited by Miami of Ohio. He went down, they checked out Miami of Ohio, and they checked out Youngstown State. And he said Youngstown State had better facilities than Miami of Ohio. And he said the amount of money that Tressel had put into that university that looks like a Division One, better than some of the Division One schools that his daughter had toured and looked at. So I mean, just imagine what he could do at Ohio State. I mean, it's already a great university as it is. He could just make it that much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the election for the next governor takes place on November 3rd of this year, and then I'm assuming they would then take office in January, just kind of similar to the
Yeah.
presidency. So, yeah, after 2026, Jim is no longer going to be the lieutenant governor of Ohio. So, hey, buddy.
Well, and it will also be great too because I don't think none of us liked how he went out anyway, because that wasn't in his control what we players were doing, and we could have a whole different show about that topic back in the day, but this would be a great story to bring him back so he could just get everything back in order. And instead of really going out to find somebody after him, maybe Coach Tress could have somebody with him and groom them to be the president. That way, when he leaves, that the university will be in great hands. So I would love to see this at like a Disney movie or something about Coach Trust's life, because it's crazy. I remember when he became the lieutenant governor. I told one of my friends, I was like, "Wow, I know some people in some very high places, and to have an opportunity to you learn from him, man, oh man, the university, they will be in great hands."
Well, one great thing about it is, he'd be right there if Ryan Day needed to ask for any advice. I mean, right there on the
Yeah.
campus, Ryan Day could go down and talk shop with him if he had any questions or needed to get some advice. And Coach Trust would, he'd be on the campus more, so I mean, he'd be around the team a lot. So I mean, that can't hurt at all to have Trust around the team, man. So I mean, only
Yeah.
good things can come from that, in my opinion.
How old is Jim now? I'm looking that up.
He might
He's
be
73.
73, so he's 2 years
Hmm.
younger than my dad then. Okay.
So I mean, who knows? He might just want to go home and relax and call it a day. But man, we would.
Isn't Ohio State home though?
True. Yeah, true.
Right?
True. Touche, Eric.
I,
And
Jim's one of those guys, and EJ, you know this better than anybody. You played for the man. He's one of those guys who, when he comes in contact with people, their lives are changed forever.
mhm.
There's a handful of coaches in college football history who have done that. We just lost one, right? The former Notre Dame coach, Lou Holtz. So many people talk about how he influenced their life, not just former players, but fans, just people in general, when they met the man. Jim Tressel's in that same vein. What I don't understand why you wouldn't want a man like that leading your entire university, right? You've got a group of students who are upset about whatever, and he would probably be like, "You know what? Come in my office. Let's talk about this. Let's hold hands and pray about it, guys." That's Jim Tressel, right? And people would walk out of his office, and it would cause them to think about things maybe from a different perspective than they've thought before. So I I'm all for it. I think if a Buckeye Nation could put the pressure on, but as Buck Vader says, he's not sure Jim wants it. He is 73 years old. He might just want to sit down on the beach somewhere in warmer weather with the first lady and just drink some fruity drinks with umbrellas in them. I don't know what his plans are, but I know this much: whatever he plans to do from this point on, he's going to do a great job at it. I mean, because that's the man.
I mean, he's been successful everywhere he's went. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, look at what he did at Youngstown State. I mean, multiple national champions. Same thing coming to Ohio State. He changed the culture. And man, then he went back to Youngstown State as the president, and look what he did there. I mean, he's got that facility looking like a D1 school. I mean, it's beautiful. The campus is beautiful there now. I mean, let's face it, Youngstown might not be the nicest area, but I mean that campus. I mean, what I've been told is it's beautiful. I mean, it's just like a D1 school, and I mean their athletics are always great there. I mean, any of the academics really high too. So I mean, I just think it's like the perfect fit, and both of you guys. When I talked to both of you guys off when I called both of you guys, first thing you both said was Jim Tressel. I mean, didn't have to wait a minute to hear it, man. You both said it. So
And I'll tell you guys a quick little story. So when Coach Tress took over and came in, right, Ohio State was not even nowhere near me, like as far as my list of schools that I wanted to go to, because even though I was born in Cincinnati, when I grew up and really like fell in love with football, that was in Louisville, Kentucky. So being in Louisville, I got a lot of SEC games, and Florida State, Tennessee, those are like my schools. Like we'll get Notre Dame. Only time I will really like thinking back at it will even notice Ohio State is when they play Michigan. And quiet as kept. I was a big Charles Woodson fan, so I kind of like Michigan a little bit better back in the day. But don't tell nobody that. Uh, but Coach Tresh actually changed my the whole scope of my recruiting when he became the head coach at Ohio State, and then get a chance to be around him. Like I think as an athlete, you want somebody who's kind of like a dad figure, a role model, and his value and his character. Oh man, they were just when you first meet him, you could just tell that he's a really good person and he says what he means. And I knew back in the day, I probably gave him a couple headaches for no reason because I was young, but I am so grateful for every lesson and everything he's ever taught me. Like I remember in training camp, we would have to write like reports about former Ohio State teams and players. And that was the first time in my life and other teammates' time as well that we never did that. But looking back at it, he was bringing us into the culture of Ohio State. Coach Tress was the first guy after the game. What did we do? We all hug each other. We go left to right, and we sing the school song. So like you talk about a guy who will bring a lot of great stuff back to the university, and I know for a fact that knowing him, he still cannot sit like back and have that bitter taste of how he exited. And this will be a great way to come back to finish that and leave how he wants to leave, not being forced out to leave.
Um, did he recruit you, or did he recruit your parents, or both?
It was both because Coach Cooper, he had a different type of player that was at Ohio State, and Coach Tress made that very clear. He said he could care less how really good you are, like if you're not a good person, and character, that's all he was preaching about. So it's really an honor for me to be a part of his first recruiting class ever, and just to see the guys that I came in with. Man, we have done some marvelous stuff. Like we got Heisman Trophy winner in Troy Smith. We got Super Bowl MVP in Santonio Holmes. We're gonna have a couple guys hopefully make it to the Football Hall of Fame. I know Nick Mangle will. RP to Nick, 'cause we lost him a few months back, and that still hurts. We lost a couple guys in my class already. So Coach Tress, I know we all when we all came together, you want to play for a guy that means something for you, and you play just a little bit harder when you care about him, and that's what we all did. As soon as we got to campus, we was playing not only for the Ohio State University, but most importantly, Jim Tressel, because
You
of what
know,
he represents.
now that you say that, EJ, I was watching a documentary on the 2002 team, and some of the players were telling the story about how you guys had to go up to each player and find out where they were from and what school they went to, and you get quizzed on it. And Tressel said, the reason he did that was to bring everybody together. He goes, the more you care about somebody, the harder you're going to play for that person. So when you're not going to want to disappoint your friend or your brother. He brought you guys together as a team instead of just a bunch of individuals.
No, actually, you know what it kind of reminded me of? You guys remember the movie Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
So when they come together in training camp, that's how it kind of reminds me of when you just brought that up. And it's so crazy because where I live at in Virginia, I've been able to go to TC Williams, but they changed the name, but in Hayfield. So that was like a pretty cool thing. But no, it's all about bringing guys together. So you got a lot of these coaches, especially in the NFL, you can very see quickly by them being fired within a year or two because they're not good people who bring men together. And Coach Tress has the ability to bring people together. That's why he went to go be the president at Youngstown State. and that's why their facilities look like that. Honestly, I was there a year ago because my best friend ended up getting married in Youngstown, and Youngstown State, that's really big. So I was just walking around and I was blown away by the campus because I know Miami of Ohio. I grew up like 20 minutes from there. So for them to not have better facilities when I know they have a lot of money, that lets you know like football or sports are not really taking that serious, like that. Because, these kids, they look at that stuff. Like, heck, I looked at who had Nike on, who had Adidas. Because if you had Adidas or Reebok, there's a high chance that I'm not attending your university. All that stuff matters. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Tress, he built a culture up there, like winning some championships, and then became the president, so he could do the same thing. He won a championship here at Ohio State, and then come back and finish up and be the president. And I think that would be the first person, to my knowledge, that whoever has done that. So that would be a pretty cool thing for him to do.
That would be wild.
Yeah. Do you guys know that Herman Boone, who is the character that Denzel Washington played in Remember the Titans, that Larry Johnson knows him personally?
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Larry Johnson has taught because they're from the same area, and Larry
Oh,
Johnson knows him, knew him, and actually, I believe it was maybe a year or two ago, if I'm not mistaken, there was a story that Ryan Day had Larry Johnson tell everybody about his relationship with Herman Boone and how he knew him and how that the story of Remember the Titans is the same, or true. EJ talking about how that scene in Remember the Titans kind of reminded him of that year with Tress. I think what Tress was doing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, EJ, he was activating you guys, actively getting you guys to invest in one another. And he knew if you guys invested in one another as who you were as human beings, as men, as brothers, then that naturally will cause you guys to just play better as a team. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right, and you got to think too. You playing for the Ohio State University, so and you recruited, so there's a good chance that you was that man wherever you came from. So now you have to, like, you got younger guys with these egos, and everybody has some type of ego coming in. So for him to know how to be very graceful with that, and to manage all those different egos, it was amazing, coming in with Maurice Corrett. Oh my gosh. The moment that when he became the man off the first game, that's the ego you gotta deal with. You know what I'm saying? Mike Doss has the ego. Donnie Nicky has the ego. All positive though. You know what I'm saying? But nobody on that team ever. Now one time, and I play for a lot of teams, but when you play on a team, you'll get guys who get jealous and mad about other people. Like, hell, I'm a competitor. I didn't like to sit behind people at all, but I always bought into it. Like no matter what, like when my number was called, I was gonna be ready and step up and do what I had to do. So just Coach Tress, he's so good at dealing with people and their egos, because if you don't have a person ego in check, that could be a team killer and a cancer. So you don't need those people on a team. And and if we did have any of those type of people, they didn't make it, and they was weeded out, and their distraction didn't mess us up for trying to get to the ultimate goal, which was to be Big Ten champs, no matter what, first, and then national champions.
That's funny that you say that, EJ, because it just brings me back to that interview we did last week with Maurice Hall. He could have caused a lot of problems when, Maurice took his spot, when Claret took his spot and he was getting all that playing time. He could have, pouted or cried or, been jealous and caused problems behind the scenes. But he didn't do that. What did he do? He stayed ready and he took advantage of all his opportunities. He helped any way he could by returning kicks. I mean, he wasn't getting as many carries as he wanted, But when he did get his chance to carry the rock, I mean, he took advantage of it. I mean, the guy scored two winning touchdowns. I mean, the winning touchdown against Illinois and then the winning touchdown against Michigan. I mean, if if he didn't have that selflessness, and
Yes.
he didn't, if he had a bad ego, that doesn't happen. That could tear a team apart. So I mean, that speaks volumes of the kind of man Trussell is.
And think about it too. Like we're talking about Maurice Hall coming out of Brookhaven. Everybody knew Maurice Hall in the state, and Maurice, when he was sharing his story, I like man, it connected with me so much because you're right. Coach Tresh did a beautiful job of what I'm saying, like delegating that situation because you're from Columbus, you ball out in the spring, and like you're probably gonna be named the starter. People are telling you the starter, but then it comes back to like a true freshman now is gonna be a starter over you. So you can feel a certain type of way about that, and not in nothing negative, but you're a competitor. You want to be the guy.
Yep.
Everybody wants to be a man. And if you're not wanting to be that person or the man, then I don't know why you're playing in a sport anyway. You're just wasting people's time for real. Because I know any sport I played, I had this confidence that I was going to be the greatest person on that team and play my butt off. But yeah, Coach Tress, man, he did a great job with that situation.
It's interesting you bring that up. That really reminds me of kind of the selflessness that everybody's been talking about with Bruce Thornton from this weekend, where he scored broke the all-time scoring record for Ohio State, and all these other coaches from all over the Big Ten have been coming out and talking about how Bruce has done it the right way. He could have left Ohio State when Ohio State wasn't doing very good in basketball. He could have left, hit the portal, gone somewhere else, and said, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm gonna and he's now being rewarded for his consistency, his drive, his willingness to stay in there, and for lack of a better term, take a pitch.
Mhm.
He's done that for Ohio State, and now he breaks the all-time scoring record. Dude will never have to pay for a meal or a drink in Columbus, Ohio, ever again in his life,
No.
ever. So his name is number one on Ohio State's basketball all-time scoring list, and they're going to be going to the NCAA tournament for the first time since he was there. So there's something to be said about understanding that when things don't go your way, you stick it out and you keep fighting, and not just throw your hands up in the air and say, well, I'm going to go somewhere else then. Like that to me I feel like that's lost on this generation of athlete, man. That fight and determination to say, I didn't get it. I didn't get that starting job, but you know what? I'm going to show up every day with my hard hat on, and I'm going to kick that guy's butt until the coaching staff says, we better put this kid in.
No, you are so right about that. Um, it's so crazy because if I played in this climate, I don't. Well, NIL, first off, that would have been great. I can't even lie to you
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
sure it
I'm not going
would.
to sit up here and lie. That would have been great. But at the same
EJ driving
time,
around with a $100,000 vehicle and Rolex on his wrist.
oh man, it would have definitely been a expensive vehicle for sure. I can tell you that much. Um, but no, you're right. These guys are soft. In my opinion, because if you don't know your talent and you don't trust your talent, and the first thing you do, and when it doesn't go your way, is to flee, then you probably don't need to be playing sports like that because that's not how sports is. Sports is supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to face adversity. That's why Tom Brady, Michael Jordan are so great because those guys have faced adversity. You don't think Michael Jordan was pissed off when he got cut from his high school team? Oh my gosh. And look what happened. He became Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady. You don't think he was mad that he had to leave the Patriots because he wanted to retire a Patriot. But guess what? He goes to Tampa and he wins it in his first year there. Right? That's adversity. A lot of people don't have that. these kids now, man, it's all about the dollar sign. So okay, well, Ohio State's not playing me. Well, let me see where I could get from Indiana, or let me see where I could get from Alabama. Because I am at Ohio State, which some of these guys are benefiting from wherever they're like leaving their school. So if you are an Alabama kid, I don't care where you go, you still have that name attached to you. So there's a level of excellence that follows you. Oh man, we got this transfer in from Alabama, and he's this, that, and the other. Like whether you go to Louisville, Miami of Ohio, Toledo, it doesn't even matter. So yeah, this is a different culture. I'm glad that I was not brought up in it, because I was telling somebody, as much as I love to hit, I would have probably been a receiver. Because I would not have been able to play to my best ability, and that was to either intercept the ball or knock somebody's butt off. But now I would just been scoring a lot of touchdowns, which still would have been cool. But I just need the contact because I got two younger brothers, and so anytime during the week they have made me mad. Friday night or Saturday was my way to picture them going across from me and beating the hell out of whoever was in front of me, and I love that so much.
This is the first time, Sean, I've heard a player say what motivated him was how angry he was at his little brothers. It's for the first time I've
Absolutely.
heard that.
Yeah, they used to try to jump me all the time. As soon as my parents leave the house, they try to jump me, so I had to defend myself against two people my
So it
whole
was two
life.
on
So
one. It was
yeah, you
two
gotta
on
bring more
one.
than two people against me. Gotta bring
Yo,
more than two.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but no, the culture needs to change. I think like they need to make a cap with the NCAA. Like, hey, you can only get one free transfer. Next time you transfer, you got to at least sit out a year. Because I'm telling you right now, that was the scariest part about me. I didn't want to sit out a year because like I've been so used to competing, and I felt like I had this problem. If I set out, I would miss, and I didn't want to do that. So nah, man, it's crazy. These kids need to just stick it out, and you really take away from the programs too, especially like basketball has a harder time than football because you get the one and dones.
yeah.
So like that's really bad. So thank goodness that it's only like you have to be out of high school for 3 years, so you can't enter the draft like that. Because if it was like if it was like the NBA, oh my gosh, a lot of kids would get lost in the sauce.
Hmm.
Yeah. You brings up something good there, EJ, Sean. Think about this. If Tressel ends up becoming president, these Big Ten presidents are the ones who might be in charge, along with the Big Ten commissioner, in reestablishing the new rules of college football moving forward.
Yeah.
Man, that would be great. I mean, they've already started talks with Congress.
Hmm.
I mean, it's good that they're talking about it, that they know the system's broke. That's a positive. But I actually heard an interview today with the MAC commissioner, and he was a little upset that they weren't invited to go to that
They didn't
meeting.
have
He
a
goes,
seat at the table. Yeah.
they didn't have a seat at the table. That he said, he goes, there needed to be more people there, and not everybody was represented. And he goes, it's positive that they're talking about it and they're trying to do something about it, but it's not positive that everybody else wasn't included. That there was only certain people there. So hopefully they can get it straightened out. The NCAA screwed up big time. I mean, they had a chance to put guardrails on it, but they were too butthurt that they lost the court case and they had to let kids get paid, and they just threw their hands up in the air and let it go crazy like that. Which I think they did on purpose to let the system burn and just be like, see, this is what you guys wanted. See if you'd have listened to us, but you wouldn't. So hopefully, they get the right guys in there. I mean, we definitely need a commissioner, and we need a governing body that's going to lay down the law and enforce the rules.
And now that I think about it too, because we got a new AD, Coach Tresh becoming president, he could now he he could really be watching over him, be like, hey, I like that, or hey, I don't like that, because he has experience of dealing with ads, being a head coach. But I'm sure that's what he did at Youngstown State, so this ain't nothing new to him at all, if he takes the position.
I mean, just think. I mean, some things he doesn't get credit for is the people that he would bring in with him. You know what I mean? He always surrounded himself with good people like Mike D'Antonio. I mean, he always had good, good assistant
Luke
coaches.
Luke Fickle.
Luke Fickle. I mean, another great, not great coach, but great human being too. So, I mean, I imagine he would make some really good hires along coming in there, and I think that he would keep it going the way it's been going at Ohio State, and maybe even take it a notch higher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just looking up some of the names on that 2002 coaching staff. Jim Bowman was the offensive coordinator. Mark D'Antonio was the defensive coordinator. Who were some of the position coaches?
D'Antonio just always looked pissed off, man.
Gosh, didn't he though?
He
Man,
always
he
looked
just
mad. He always looked like he was going to rip someone's head off, man.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Yeah.
intense, man. I don't know.
So that's why if you messed up, oh my God, you did not.
You ran the other way, didn't you? You ran to the
Oh
other.
man, because either he was gonna get you on the field or he was gonna get you in the film room, and I don't know which was worse. Probably in the film room, because when you mess up and your play is about to come up, you just kind of just sink in your chair and you're like, oh crap, like what is he gonna say now? But no, we had a lot of great coaches on that staff. Coach Daniels, I think he passed away. Great coach, one of the nicest human beings. Mel Tucker, like you said, Coach Fickle. Who else? Uh,
Jim
Bowman.
Haycock.
Coach Haycock. He recruited me. That was my recruiting
Oh,
guy.
what was he?
Yes, yes, yes. So Coach Haycock, man, we go back because if I'm not mistaken, it was only a few of them who was around from Cooper's staff. So he was on Coach Cooper's staff. It was him, and I want to say Coach Spence, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been
Okay.
Coach Spence was there. So it was like only like two people Coach Chess kept from Coach Cooper's staff, So that has to tell you a lot about what kind of men they are.
Yeah. Mel Tucker, Bob Tucker, Dick Tressel, Mark
Yeah,
Snyder.
Tim
Uh,
Spencer. Wasn't Tim Spencer the running back coach?
yeah, Coach Spence.
yep,
Yep.
yep. Um, you mentioned Joe Daniels. He was the quarterbacks coach. Bill Conley was the tight ends coach, aka the recruiting coordinator.
Yes, Coach Conley. Oh my God, the man. He's straight looking like a mobster with that dark slick back hair. And he always had a cool walk too about him. You know what I
He
mean?
he
Very
was
cool
on
walk.
he was on Cooper's staff too, wasn't he? Bill Conley. He'd been there
Yes,
a long
yes,
time.
yes. So it was those three, I think. No, but
Slick back hair.
yeah. Nah, man. Being a part of Ohio State, man, and you got a chance to see a lot of good players come through, a lot of good coaches. The one thing I do miss, because people ask me, like, oh, what do you miss? I miss the brotherhood inside the locker room. Being inside the locker room or team meetings, we had some of the funniest guys ever. Like, straight up funny, will have you freaking crying, laughing. Shout out Mo Lee. Mo Lee was a receiver. He was from Cleveland. One of the funniest guys. Oh my gosh, we'll have everybody laughing. But no, even the coaches were funny. Coach Tress is funny too. He does have a really really good sense of humor, and when he like when he makes jokes, sometimes it could go right over your head. Be like, hold on, he just say that. But great personality though. Great personality.
Mo Lee, Andy Groom was talking about him and said how hilarious he was, and that guy was just a riot to be around.
Oh
Hey, Obi
man.
says he'd like to meet EJ. You know what, Sean? We need to get EJ to our tailgate for the spring game, man.
Brian Obi's a good friend of mine. I grew up with him.
Okay.
Known him since the first grade. And thanks for
Nice.
the kind things you were saying earlier. And yeah, I remember when I did let you out on that reverse. So we played ball together. He ran a reverse. I played D end, and I smoked him in practice the one time.
Oh, nice.
Good dude. Great guy, man. I've known him since 1986, so that shows how old I am. So
Fun fact about Obi. He has the most baseball knowledge out of anybody in our community. He outbit. Was that you, Obi, and Bart that were going after it
me,
the other night
all three of
on
us, yeah. And he,
it was just they were how many 90s baseball names from the major leagues can you reference? And it went on for like 30 minutes and Obi was still going in the chat,
yeah,
just still going. I'm like, that guy has got some he's like an almanac when it comes to the baseball, man. My goodness. Shout out to his knowledge of Major League Baseball. EJ, let me ask you this, man, about Jim Tressel.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that Jim Tressel taught you, or that maybe you learned from just playing for Jim Tressel, that's something you want to share with your players this year when you start to coach them in the fall?
Um, Being accountable. Like, when you like, I'm coaching the free safeties at Centerville this year.
congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.
Go
Centerville
Elks!
Elks. It's so funny because like I'm undefeated against them because I played them twice in high school, going against Mike Nugent and AJ. So being able to go to that great high school with all the great players who come through there, I'm really really very fortunate and blessed. But the biggest thing I'm going to teach them is how to be accountable. Um, in the secondary, we are the last line of the defense. So if any of us mess up or try to do our own thing, we mess it up for everybody. So, how I coach, like I'm a pretty fun guy, but if I start cussing, then you messed up. You know what I mean?
The D'Antonio comes out of them.
Yes, for sure. Like, if you hear me cuss, you should put your head down because you're gonna get an earful. And I'm playing for coaches like Dino, who holds you like I need players to study film. I need you guys to be accountable for each other. So my corners, you look at the other corner. You guys got the safeties, the same thing. Like you guys we all are one. So if the accountability is not there, then that's gonna really hurt us. So just make sure they're responsible, and hopefully I'll inherit some great student athletes who want to like just be better, and I have the capability of getting that out of people whether they like it or not. My kids don't like it, so, but then they look back at me and they're like, oh, okay, that's what you was talking about. But I just want them to have fun, and help them out in any type of way that I can, because I want them to see the game out of my eyes. I know they're not the player like I was, but as long as I could get them to see it how I see it, I feel like that's going to take their game to a whole different level.
If some of you don't know, EJ is the defensive backs coach at Centerville High School. You just took the job this year, right?
Just
So
took it the other week. Yep.
So well deserved, my friend. I mean, well deserved. I mean, if there's a guy who can mentor young kids and give them positive mentorship, man, it's you, man. You were meant to do that, man.
No, I
So
appreciate it.
congratulations.
And even though I don't have any pieces of Centerville gear, but I do got the colors on. So we coming, even though this ain't Colorado, we are coming at Centerville because I feel like I want to win a state championship, and I think we have a pretty good chance of doing that.
So you know what I get to do, Sean, is I get to add EJ's name to the list of former Buckeyes who are coaching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a quite extensive list, EJ, of former Buckeyes who are in the profession. And just to name a few who are coaching high school ball with you, we got Greg Fry um, over at Bexley. Stanley Jackson is the head coach at Westerville North High School.
Oh wow.
Chase Ferris is the head coach of Elyria Catholic High School. Let's see here.
Dorian
Uh,
Grant. uh, uh,
St. Vincent St. Mary's. Yeah, you got it. Santonio Holmes. He just took the wide receiver position at a wide receiver coach, I believe, at Wilber Central State, which is in Wilberforce, Ohio.
Fun little fact. So
Okay.
that's where my dad, he played for Xavier on their last football team, and then he went to Central State, and then he met my mom at Wilberforce because they're like right there by each other. So when Santonio took that, I just started cracking up. I was like, oh my goodness, because my dad called me immediately. Hey, guess what? Santonio's the receiver coach at Central State. So no, that's totally awesome. My bad, not meaning to
Could
interrupt.
you imagine if Central State and Centerville hooked up at a game and these two guys are coaching? One's the wide receiver, one's the defensive backs. They're coaching against each other. That would be sweet,
Uh,
dude.
well, it'd be the same thing like it was in practice. I would make sure my guys have those receivers locked up.
Oh,
now,
Period.
who was the toughest guy that you had to go against in practice?
Oh
EJ
man, well, honestly, since we're talking about him right now, me and
Santonio.
Santonio, oh my goodness, it was great to go against him. Um, Toughest guy. No, are we talking Buckeyes or just pros too?
Well, let's go Buckeyes and then tell us the pros.
All
I
right.
like.
Um, it would have to be like Bam Childress was very tough. You guys remember Bam?
Yep,
oh
Mr.
yeah.
Ohio.
Oh, Bam was like the first one because I'm very good at man coverage and putting my hands on you. But Bam was the first player that I ever came across was so shifty. I was like, oh my goodness! Like I remember the first couple of times I couldn't get good jams on him, and I had to like really study him. So I would stay after practice and go back and watch our one on ones, see like what I could do. But once I figured out like how to, what I'm saying, contain him to a certain extent, it made it a lot more easier. But me and Santonio, oh, we used to go at it all the time. Matter of fact, we had I didn't want to go against nobody else because I knew that if I could be great against this guy, Saturdays is gonna be way easy for me
Mhm.
because a lot of people don't understand the game is won during the week. So anytime I practice my butt off like I'm playing in the game. And we used to have DBs mad and he used to have receivers mad at him too. Like, oh man, you guys just want to go against each other. It was like, yep. Because we knew that we were making each other better. So yeah, I was at or Drew Carter was definitely fast though. Him and Michael Jenkins, how tall they were, they had a different type of like speed to them because they're long. So if they want to hit those long strides on you, oh my goodness, watch out. So yeah, those are the guys. But in the NFL, I would have to say, um, I would have to say Plexical Birds was very nice, and Jeremy Shockey. I'll give those two their props because they're taller and they were shifty, and I wasn't used to that. Like because they're vets, so they'll do like little stuff that I wasn't ready for. And being a tall guy,
Yeah,
especially Plexical Birds because Plex is like 6'5", 6'6", and he's so smooth, So those guys, when I first got them, gave me just a little bit of trouble at first, but then once you go against somebody so many times, you understand and you pick it up from there.
Talking about the NFL, I got a question for you. Davison Igbinosun, 4-year starter in college, 1 year at Ole Miss, and then 3 years at Ohio State. Um, Very physical player, very physical corner. One might argue a little bit too handsy at times through his physicality. But will that physicality service him well when he gets to the NFL? Or is he going to have to learn some things when he gets there that you can't get away with in the NFL that you got away with in college?
Um, I think it's so different now. Like even me coaching high school. Like I have to like change my mentality about how I used to play. Now there's ways to like get around that. First off, I like a physical corner or a DB. Me personally, that lets me know that you care, and you're not just out here just to being the guy. Second, it's become coaching now, So last year when he led the country, I think he definitely led the Buckeyes in the Big Ten with
Yeah.
all those PIs or whatever. Whoever he worked with in the off season, shout out to them, because they made it a point to beat that in his head, like, yo, look what you did last year. You led the nation in PIs, and you're not going to do that this year, especially if you want to get drafted, right? Now, we don't want like dumb players. You want smart players out there. So I don't want a guy if I feel like if he gets into a compromising situation, it's going to give up a penalty. No, that's not playing smart. You got to be a smart guy out there. So shout out to him because you could tell whoever he's been working with has drilled that into his brain so much. He had a remarkable season. I only think he had maybe two or three penalties this year, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember one of them came late in the season, and it was like, wow, no, this is like his second PI of the year, like compared to what he was last year. So it's all about just being like a smart player at that point. Football, like NFL's changed, so they don't want the DBs being physical like that. And so pretty soon they're probably going to tell them, "Hey, you can't press anymore," which would be stupid. Like I think it's a stupid rule that you can't hit them after 5 yards. You know what I mean? But that's just the DB in me. But no, it's all about being smart and working with what you got. Because if you know you are a slower guy and you're about to become, you're going up against a faster person. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to do something to try to slow that person down. So what the first thing they do is put their hands on them, reach at them, grab them. So it's just about it's all about the smart matchup that you got and knowing who you're going against.
Check this comment out, Sean. This is
Uh,
from Mika. She's our recruiting coordinator. She said, "EJ, you're going to be coaching Zaire Alston. She's a big fan of his. He's a good player. So you already getting a scouting report of one of the players you're going to be coaching up this year, buddy."
So honestly, that's awesome that you know who he is. I have not had a chance to meet him yet, but I am looking forward to coaching him up and hopefully taking his game to a different level. I've been watching my huddle account because I'm a football junkie. I forgot like how much I like love breaking down film. So when I watch him, like you see it jump out, like you see his talent. He just got offered by Wisconsin not too long ago.
nice.
So, that was one of the biggest reasons why I decided to take the coaching job because I got a kid who's getting recruited big time. So having him around me, hopefully I just take his game to the next level. Hopefully, whatever he's been doing up until this point we could just times it by 20 so that way sky's the limit for him. But no, he's a stud for sure, and I can't wait to take him to the next level when I coach him.
So he
No,
was
it's
the
good.
one you were telling me about then.
Yes, he's the
Oh,
one.
okay, cool.
Yes.
It's gonna be
That's
cool when
awesome.
we get that insider information from EJ. Like, yeah, I fielded 3 phone calls from Big Ten schools and one SEC school calling my boy up. So it's
No, for sure, because I think the biggest thing these kids don't they're not going to understand. I was a former pro athlete,
Mhm.
so I'm doing. I I cannot take that away from myself. Like so, anything I do, like when I coach, I'm coaching them up like they're in the NFL. The biggest thing that I got when I did go to the NFL, I was so fortunate that in college I got coached up like that. But then I was like, man, I knew a lot of great like NFL players. I grew up with Icky Woods' son, so I'm very close. with Icky Woods, and actually his son is on the coaching staff. That's how he got me to Centerville,
Oh,
because
that's cool.
so it's crazy because I play with his older brother, so now I get to coach with the younger brother, so it's really a blessing. But no, it's just about coaching these guys, because if I had the same type of knowledge that I had when I was a pro in high school, oh my God, like it'll be over. So I'm gonna coach these guys up, how they will be coached if they're able to go to the next level and then the next level after that.
Can you do
Do you
the
want
Icky
me to?
shuffle?
I got some cold cuts. Got some cold
Oh
cuts.
gosh.
Yeah.
No, so the greatest thing about Ick is my senior year, because like whenever we win, he will get on the field and do the Icky shuffle for us. You know what I'm saying? So
Ah,
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
man, he was doing a lot of shuffles my senior year, that's for
dude,
sure.
you know what? You know what we need, Sean? Is we need someone to do a video of where Icky's doing the Icky shuffle and spikes the ball and he goes, "That's for the OHIO podcast" or something silly like that. We get a video of it. Hey, EJ, I got something fun for you, real cool. So
Yeah.
this is the scouting report of Zaire Alston from Mika. I know if she's watching, she's gonna think this is really neat. So I want you to break down what Mika thinks of him and from a scouting perspective. She says Zaire is a 6 foot, 185-pound defensive back out of Centerville High School in Ohio. A very physical, versatile defensive back who plays both safety and corner. He has great closing speed and agility. Disruptive in the backfield, especially in big moments and on blitzes. Hard-nosed football player with high football IQ. Nice back pedal, but needs to work on patience. But I really like his motor. What do you think?
I love it. It sounds like a guy I could do a lot of stuff with. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
And and for me too, like it'll be like once I get around the kids, I could tell very easily like what their really true makeup is about. I've heard nothing but positive things about him. Actually, we had a team meeting, and on Saturday, and the coaches were really like so impressed about how far he has come, because he's been like a quiet kid, great kid they said, but the fact that they see that jump, of him being a leader and stuff like that, the head coach could not stop raving about him. So yeah, when I get him into when I get a chance to coach him, I'm gonna be able to see all of that, and then whatever he's deficient in, I'm gonna make sure we fix that. Because you need like I'm trying to win a state championship, and that's
There
the
we
first
are.
thing
Yeah.
when I told the coach, I said, Coach, you know what, I'm gonna accept this job, but most importantly, I'm trying to win a state championship. And Centerville, man, we run like an Alabama type of defense. So that's another thing that drew me in, because like I'm a big Nick Saban fan. Like I love Coach Saban. If I would have left Ohio State, he was the only coach I was gonna go play for, because he tried to get me down to LSU after we won a national championship because of my family connections with Harlan Barnett. Harlan Barnett was a guy who's from Cincinnati, Ohio, went to Michigan State, played for Coach Saban and Coach Dan Antonio when he was there. But he ended up going and play. He played in the NFL for the Vikings for a while. Know his nephew. Me and his nephew were coming out together. But Coach Saban, like when Harlan took the LSU job, we just got done winning the national championship, literally. So he came to practice with my dad, like really was trying to get me to come down to LSU after the championship. But then Coach Tressel, pulled my dad to the side and it was like, hey, Rev, I got your son here, because a lot of stuff like not playing or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm so blessed to be a Buckeye, um, and play for Coach Tress.
Guys, what a great show we've had. it's time to wrap it up. Eric, EJ, you guys got anything else you want to say before we get off of here?
Vote for Jim Tressel for president of Ohio State. If it was
Exactly.
up to a vote, he would win, and
No,
that would
hands
be a
down, man.
landslide.
And I approve that message. I approve that message. You know, for sure. I think Coach Tress, I would love to see him come back in that capacity, because I didn't like the way he went out in the first place. And Ohio State, you can't mess that up when you have Jim Tressel. So he brings good juju to the university, and you can't go wrong with him.
Eric, thanks again for stepping in tonight for Nate. We appreciate you. Thanks for all that you've done for us, man. Give us this awesome channel. Everybody, thank you for watching us and supporting us. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe. We will be back again next Monday with an awesome show. Till we meet again, OH.
Ayo!
Io.